Hi there, plant-based pals. Welcome to another episode of Physician in the Kitchen. I'm your host, Dr. Monique, a board-certified family physician and founder of the brand Physician in the Kitchen. My passion is helping busy people discover, cook, and eat delicious plant-based foods without impacting their hectic schedules. And my mission is to fix America's health one plate at a time. Well, today we are making vegan butter, specifically vegan garlic butter. And before you ask, no, you haven't accidentally traveled back in time to 1930s where we had to churn our own butter by hand. It's still 2024, and I'm actually going to be using modern conveniences to make a quick and easy butter recipe at home using some basic staples found in most plant-based or vegan pantries. I actually learned how to make butter, vegan butter, in, you guessed it, vegan culinary school. So I want to show you how easy the process is, which will hopefully save you money so that you don't have to buy store-bought butter on the rare occasions that you do use butter. This recipe is actually a combination of what I learned in vegan culinary school, as well as some recipes I looked up online. And I specifically want to give a shout out to Nora from Nora Cooks for her recipe. All right, let's get started. Today's all-star lineup of ingredients is as follows. 1 cup of coconut oil. Make sure it's refined so that you don't have a coconut flavored butter when we're done. And also we're going to melt this before we use it. 1/2 cup of unsweetened, unflavored soy milk. You can also use almond milk or oat milk, but the key thing is to make sure there's no extra sugar or flavors. 2 cloves of roasted garlic, a little bit of turmeric, some extra virgin olive oil, which I'm using extra virgin olive oil here because I'm using garlic, so I'm not worried about the flavor of the olive oil coming through. If you're making just a basic butter, be sure to use either olive oil or avocado oil or another mildly or unflavored oil so that the flavor of your butter is not changed. We've got a little bit of salt and 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar and about 1/4 teaspoon of nutritional yeast and 1/4 cup of coconut cream. Okay, so first we're going to curdle our milk. So we're going to go ahead and add our plant-based milk and apple cider vinegar to the bowl of our mini food processor. You can also skip this step altogether and just use a plant-based buttermilk. But again, the purpose of this video is to show you how easy it is to use ingredients you already have at home without having to buy anything else. Just give this a quick stir and we're going to let it sit for 5 minutes. So while that's doing its thing, we're going to go ahead and melt our coconut oil because we want to be sure we have 1 cup of melted coconut oil. So what I did was I microwaved my coconut oil and I did it in about 15-second increments. You don't want to like boil your oil. You just really just want to melt it. And so now that it's melted, I see that I've got just a little bit more than a cup. So I'm going to pour off the rest. And now I've got 1 cup. So we're gonna let this finish curdling, give it another couple of minutes, and then we're just gonna put everything in the food processor, put the top on it, process it, and then we're good to go. So it's been about 5 minutes, and you can see, let me zoom in so you can see how curdled the milk starts to look. So this is a really cool trick. If you've never made buttermilk at home, now you have. And instead of using the apple cider vinegar, you can simply use lemon juice if you prefer. So that is an alternative for you. Okay, so now we're literally just going to add everything to our bowl here. Let's go ahead and pour in the coconut oil. We've now got the coconut cream. This just helps make it creamy butter. If you don't want that, you can certainly skip it. We're gonna add in a little bit of the olive oil, adding some nutritional yeast to give it to add to the flavor, a little turmeric to give it that yellow color that we think of with butter. If you want a white butter, just eliminate that. And let's just add a pinch of salt and then a couple of garlic cloves because again, this is a garlic butter that I'm making. You would leave that out if you want just a basic butter, but you're gonna see how easy it is to make a nice flavored butter. You can also substitute and put some herbs in here if you like chives or dill or whatever other herb you want to put in your butter. So now that all of our ingredients are in here, we're going to go ahead and process this. I love this little mini mincer, or mini processor rather, because it lets me get the job done for smaller batches. So there's our butter mix. See how it looks creamy? I wanted to make sure it's processed so I don't have chunks of garlic in there. So we're gonna go ahead and pour this into our molds. But first, let's taste it and just make sure it's got the taste I want. Ma'am, you have made butter. Amazing. I actually could go for a little bit more garlic, but I'm gonna restrain myself because I will be using this in other recipes and I can always add the garlic then. Some of you may know about my tiny kitchen gadget fetish that I have. So yes, I do have these molds, but again, you do not have to use this. You can even use a glass dish like this, and then you could top it with some saran or plastic wrap, or if you have glass containers that have the lockable tops, you could use those as well. So make do with what you've got. You don't have to go out and purchase anything fancy for this recipe. Here's another example of a glass top that actually has the lid, and as you can see, I can lock this into place. There you go. Okay, so this could be your butter dish. You do not have to have the silicone molds, but I will say they're not expensive and they're cute, so why not? So let's go ahead and pour our butter mixture in here. Now, it goes without saying, everything is not for everyone. So if you're not an oil person or a butter person, sit this recipe out. It's okay. Be sure to tune in later for other recipes because I'm sure I'll have something you will like. So this should make 4 sticks. So I'm going to make a mess, obviously, but try to get most of it into the molds here. And of course, I'll go back and clean that up. But yeah, look at that. That works out just right. All right, so there is our butter. It's beautiful. We're gonna go ahead and put the top on here and pop this in the fridge for at least an hour. We'll check the consistency and make sure it's firm enough at that point. You can do it for an hour or 2, depending on how set it is. Doctor's orders. As always, be sure to consult your doctor about whether eating butter, even in small amounts, is recommended for you or not. The purpose of this video is to simply show you how easy it is to make your own butter, which of course is something that should be used only in moderation and in very small amounts, even for the average person with no health risks. That being said, let's get into just why coconut oil is so controversial so that you can make an informed decision about whether to use it very occasionally or not. Fact. Coconut oil is largely made of saturated fat, anywhere from 80 to 90%, compared to regular butter, which is at least 50%. Also fact, saturated fats raise your bad or LDL cholesterol levels, but not as much as animal-based butter. Also fact, saturated fats may also raise your good or HDL cholesterol levels by a small degree. Coconut oil's special HDL or good cholesterol boosting effect may make it less bad than the highly saturated fat content would indicate, but it's still probably not the best choice among the many available oils to reduce the risk of heart disease. According to Harvard Health, saturated fats play several important roles in the human body, including contributing to cell membrane structure, providing an energy source, contributing to the production of hormones, and helping with the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins such as vitamins A, D, E, and K. Saturated fats are also involved in the function of our immune system, our nervous system, and they play a role in the breakdown or metabolism of lipids and the function of our liver. The American Heart Association strongly recommends a saturated fat intake of no more than up to 6% of total daily calories. For example, for an average 2,000 calorie diet, no more than 120 calories or 13 grams should come from saturated fats. Compare that to the 8 to 10% of saturated fat contained in the Mediterranean style diet, which is known for its heart healthy protecting qualities. And contrast this with trans fats, a type of unsaturated fatty acid, which you should absolutely not be eating. I mean, at all. 0%. Nada. Based on the current evidence, coconut oil is not all good nor all bad and probably falls somewhere in between. Again, be sure to speak with your doctor and or dietitian and follow their recommendations for your personal dietary goals, needs, and challenges. While coconut oil has been shown to raise cholesterol levels, both the good and the bad kinds, more than other plant-based oils like olive or canola, which has been linked to increased inflammation in the body while coconut oil is thought to reduce inflammation, it is important to use reputable information to make the best choices you can for yourself and your loved ones, and have other options to use occasionally. At the end of the day, much like drinking alcohol, using butter made from coconut oil, when used properly, specifically in small amounts, sparingly, and very occasionally, can add a boost to your food and may have a few health benefits as well. Okay, so it has been over an hour since we put the butter in the refrigerator. So now it's time to take a look. There we have our butter, a nice beautiful golden color from the turmeric that we put in there. And what I'm gonna do, I've got a piece of toast. We're gonna just take a little bit out and spread it. And you see that texture? That looks perfect. See how it spreads on our toast? So again, butter is one of those things you're gonna use in moderation, but I'm a fan of if I can make it myself where I know what's in it, I'm gonna go for that. So now let's give it a taste. Here we go. This is good. Light, buttery taste. I've got the hints of the garlic in there because remember, we added garlic. So as you can see, I made this at home with just a few ingredients that I already had. Didn't have to buy anything special. And I got a chance to use my little super cool butter molds. To store these, we're gonna wrap them in a little bit of wax paper, just like what you get from the store. And they can be refrigerated for 2 or 3 weeks, or you can even freeze them for longer use. You can actually, once you wrap them up, put them in plastic bags, get the air out, and freeze them. Be sure to label and date them, and then you've got butter on hand when you need it. So let's wrap these up. Now, to wrap the butter, I actually popped it back in the fridge, specifically the freezer, for about 15 minutes to let it firm up. Because it doesn't have the additives that commercially produced butter has. It does soften pretty quickly when left at room temperature. So to work with it, I wanted to make it even more firm, so I did pop it back in the freezer. The other thing to help unmolding it even easier, before you pour your butter into your molds, you can actually go ahead and line it with your parchment or wax paper that you're going to be using as the wrapper. I didn't do that this time, but it doesn't really matter. But if you want to make it super easy, you can do that. Now that it's actually frozen, it's a little easier to work with. So I'm going to just first, let me use my little spatula to separate it from the edges. And then it should pop right out. And if it breaks in the process, that's okay, because it's butter and it doesn't have to be perfect. So there you go. So as you see, it did break on me, but that's okay. My particular mold has markings on it, so you can see each line here is about a tablespoon. So just like the butter you buy in the store, you can get it where you know what you're using. If you want to even use an ice tray, you can. Just know that when you're pouring it out, if you want to measure a tablespoon, that way when you go to use it, you know you've got a tablespoon of butter. So no need to buy anything fancy. You can certainly make do with what you've got. And then I'm just using some wax paper. You can also use parchment. And I'm just making my wrappings. So there it is. There's my stick of butter. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap the rest of these up, and then also put them in a plastic bag. If I'm going to freeze some of these, I can put them in a plastic bag, get rid of the excess air, and be sure to label and date it so that I know how long my butter has been in there. All right, folks, so there you have it. Homemade vegan or plant-based butter. So if you're looking for an economical way to make butter and skip all the preservatives or additives that you get in the commercial brands, there you've got it. So for other plant-based inspired recipes, be sure to check out my book, Doc Fix My Plate, The Physician in the Kitchen's Prescription to Your Healthy Meal Makeover. If you like this video, please be sure to click the like button, share, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. Until next time, keep it 100. Plant-based, that is. Eat well.